I cannot believe we just got out of that inning. I cannot believe what I am... Mike! What the What we're gonna do today is talk about my honest review of MLB The Show 20 because I've been waiting so long for MLB The Show 21 news, but I think it's pretty evident that we're not gonna know anything about that game until 2021. And obviously, if you're a longtime sub, you know that I have not been posting MLB The Show 20 as frequently as I probably should because it does well on the channel. You all really love the videos, but when I'm playing the game, it's no longer a hobby for me. It feels like a job, and that's where I told myself I have to take a step back. I'm still going to be posting gameplays. There's going to be one coming out tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed MLB The Show 20 more than any MLB The Show that I've played since MLB 16. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the great things that San Diego Studio did, the people that make the game, the devs. We're also going to talk about the good things that they did, and then last but not least, we'll talk about the bad things, and then at the very end, we will give this game a letter grade. Is it going to be an A+? Is it going to be a B-? Is it going to be an F? We will discuss that towards the later half of the video. But first and foremost, again, I do want to say I hope the devs don't take this video personally. I am simply just trying to make the game better from a creator perspective and a fan base perspective. Every single person watching this right now, I think the game could be improved, but I will give them major props. The first thing that I want to talk about, this is the great category, content. Content has never been more fire in the history of this entire franchise. You had people logging on and excited to get the 99 Cody Bellinger in November. November is usually about the time when everyone stops playing and they're kind of hoping for some hype for the next game to come out. There wasn't any talk about the next game because people were grinding to get that 99 Cody Bellinger. They brought back finest cards, they brought back postseason cards. I really think that content saved the game this year, and you could get a full 99 God Squad without spending a single penny on the game. Honestly, that might be the first time in sports video game history. Madden can't do it, 2K has never done it, where you can get a full God Squad without spending a single dollar. Now, I could be wrong, so if you're a 2K fan or Madden fan, please let me know, but they had a free Babe Ruth, they had free Corey Klubers from the XP reward path, so they did so many things right in regards to content, and that even leaked to the Creators League, where movie gaming won a bunch of money and a lot of people got exposed. So content-wise, they brought tournaments into play. The events were a whole lot more fun this year. The Moonshot event was the best that's ever been created. Now, the one that they're doing right now, I think it's called the Giant event or Big Tall Players, whatever it is. It's 6 innings on Hall of Fame on the week of Christmas, which no one is going to be playing that, and the rewards aren't very good, so I still think that they have some tweaking on the events. But if we're talking about content between the XP reward path, the prestige cards, the evolution cards, I hope to God that they're going to be a lot more prevalent in 2021 because they created them and then they said, okay, we're not going to really do much with them. Maybe that was because of the global pandemic, but considering COVID and what happened, content gets an A+ from me, and I give them a round of applause because they kept me interested from opening day all the way to when I'm making this video in regards to content. But the gameplay, we'll talk about that in a second. It's starting to make me not want to even get the content. But before we do that, we talked about the great stuff, which is content, and then the good stuff is the fact that they involved more creators more often this year. Now, I still think that there needs to be an improvement because we are all in a Discord. Myself, Coog, Shelfie, we are called the MLB The Show creators, and we can talk to the developers whenever we need to. However, sometimes, I don't know exactly why, but our questions do not get answers, or if someone asked a repeated question, obviously let's say it was a week or two later, sometimes they'll just say that's already been answered. It's not really something that we're going to talk about anymore, and I really wish that that mindset wouldn't be a thing, because if it's happening to someone 2 weeks ago and it's still happening the day that I asked, even though it's a repeated question, I still feel like it holds some value and that it should be something we look into a little bit deeper. I'm not saying it should be fixed right that second, but for example, whenever I add equipment to my creative player, I have to redo the entire appearance of my creative player because it changes to Mariano Rivera, or he changes to Kenley Jansen, where he's 6'8", 275 pounds with a different batting stance, and I lose my entire creative player, and that's still happening even though I've asked the question a couple different times. And I'm hoping for more transparency, and I'm hoping that if it's not going to be fixed, for me to just, accept my fate and that I'm going to have to use 6'8" creative player Kenley Jansen as my catcher going forward. So I think letting us reveal cards, like for example, I was able to reveal Nolan Jones and Bo Bichette, the 98 Bo Bichette. I had full reign and full control over that. That was amazing. So in regards to working with the content creators, I would give them a B, because we talked about a lot of things that just never came to fruition. I know that the global pandemic had a say in that, but I want to do more charity streams. When MLB The Show is streaming on Twitch, I wish that they would raid more people more often. That just means they send their 15,000 plus people to a channel that deserves the recognition and a ton of people follow. So I'm hoping that content creator leagues come back and that they are able to collab with us more often, because I think that is when the community is closest and the most tight-knit, is when we're all working together. And also, if you want to be an MLB The Show YouTuber, start right now, because you never know if you could be invited or not. Also, if you spend money on stubs, you can use those as tax write-offs. So that's one thing I want to give you guys as a, like friendly advice from Fuzzy. If you buy stubs, make some YouTube videos so you can write them off as business expenses. So we talked about the great things, which was really just one thing in my opinion. Content, the best that we've ever seen. The good, we talked about how creators were a little bit more valuable this year. Instead of just releasing cards and using us as marketing, we were actually able to talk to the devs, be in a Discord, talk about bugs, things that need to be corrected, and then involve ourselves in a content creators league. I thought that was awesome, but just a little bit more improvements, a little bit more transparency and opportunities to collab with the devs themselves. I think that would be awesome. And last but not least, we have to talk about the bad thing, which is obviously gameplay. I have not talked about it one time in today's video. Maybe I hinted at it, but the first thing that we need to have corrected is a complete hitting engine overhaul. The entire thing, in my opinion, this, again, I'm just a 24-year-old kid who likes Star Wars and baseball. I don't know anything about coding video games, so I could be way off base. I know it's not easy, but the fact that there are check swings and foul balls galore, there's got to be 100 foul balls or check swings per game, and it is the most aggravating thing ever, because they want us to prestige these pitchers, but you can't strike anyone out. You cannot do it. Someone will foul off a pitch in the opposite batter's box or at their shoelaces, and you can get 10 to 15 pitch at bats 4 or 5 times a game. I hate that. Me, myself, as a hitter, I would rather strike out than go on to have the guy throw 20 extra pitches and me just waste away. I'm not getting better by swinging at pitches outside the zone, so it's going to train me to be better and not get bailed out every single time. And also, speaking of getting bailed out, the pitches on the black, those need to get called for strikes more often. That is something that really ruins gameplay as well. Between check swings, you have foul balls, and pitches that are not called strikes, that are borderline. It just makes the game too hard for casuals, and it really turns them off to trying to make World Series. So that's the number one thing. Check swings, foul balls, and pitches on the black, they need to be reworked. Also, the PCI feedback, I think now it's way better, because you can see in real time how good your swing was, but the feedback is still a little bit broken. Sometimes you'll have a perfectly centered up PCI with good contact, and it won't even go to the warning track. Sometimes, and it was evident in one of my last videos, you'll have a perfect hit go foul. How do you hit it perfectly and then it end up foul? So it just shows that the timing window or the feedback system, it's bugged, or it needs to be reworked. The actual graphic that it shows, please bring that back. That is absolutely amazing, but the system needs a complete overhaul in my opinion. Again, it's probably a whole lot harder than it sounds. And then also, power was king yet again. Tony Gwynn was completely irrelevant in this year's game. If they had an Ichiro, he was not going to be used, because he's great defensively, he's got a great arm, speed, contact. It's just something that you're not going to use those players, because home runs, it was MLB The Show foul ball, MLB The Show home run 20, and that's just my opinion. So I think contact hitters, they were much better in 2019, but then 20 came around and they were not great anymore. So bring back the balance of contact hitters and power hitters. There's also pitching overhauls. They have to implement a perfect system, because they have it for hitters, where if you get a perfect hit, there's a better chance of it becoming something that is not caught, where pitchers need to have the same thing. If you have a perfect pitch, it should go exactly where you want, because I've seen so many times where I throw a curveball or a changeup and it's good right in that little circle, but it doesn't go anywhere where I actually wanted to throw it. So I'm hoping that that gets corrected. And also, pitchers have almost zero reaction when it comes to choppers to the mound. For whatever reason, take 5 years to throw the ball, and runners with 40 to 50 speed can sometimes get cheesy little singles. That needs to be corrected. And then last but not least, in regards to the gameplay, fielding. I can't tell you how many times I've had runs taken away from me because my outfielder was slow to the ball, he was slow picking it up, and then he took his sweet time throwing the ball, and then at that point, the runner scored all the way from first base on a ball in the gap at Ship Stadium. That should never happen, so that pretty much does it for the bad part. Again, it's one of the most prevalent parts of MLB The Show 20 gameplay, so I think it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Now, luckily for me, the content was so good and so interesting, and it pulled me in that I was able to somewhat overlook the gameplay issues, but now that this game is going to be cross-platform, and I mean, I'm saying that hoping that it still happens that way. They released a statement this year that it was going to happen, but who knows if the pandemic put a fork in the road for the devs over at San Diego Studio. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think they did great? What do you think they did good, about average? And then what do you think was the worst part of MLB The Show 20? I'm gonna go ahead and give this game a B. Probably a B to B plus, because again, to me, MLB The Show 17, we can go back and there were server issues right when the game came out. No stats ever counted. The content was good, but then we see MLB The Show 18. That was the year of the Immortals, I believe. I could be wrong. You might have to correct me in the comment section down below, but that was a tough year. 2019, I thought, was the first time that we saw a light at the end of the tunnel, where content was good but gameplay was a little bit shaky. And then the same thing happened in 2020, but to a lesser degree, where content was through the roof but gameplay was about the same. A lot of people were comparing it to MLB The Show 18, which is widely recognized as one of the least popular MLB The Show games of all time. But that does it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you made it to this point of the video, I want to say I appreciate you. I know that we were a little bit more serious in this video, and I can be serious and funny. Just sometimes I have to tone down the humor and really focus on the important things, and that's today's video in a nutshell. So again, the gameplays are not going anywhere. I just needed a deep breath. I needed to collect my thoughts and remind myself that this is a job if I make it. I need to make it a hobby, have some fun, give you guys the best videos possible, and that's all that matters. Stay safe out there. Thanks for watching. Peace out.